Paris, the city of light, the city of love, and also the city of secrets. Paris. Some call Paris the city of light, others the capital of love. But I say this, Paris is a living secret, a treasure chest of stories that never runs out. In this video, I will open this treasure chest with you. We'll walk through the old streets, cross bridges over the Seine, step into cafes where geniuses of art once wrote their masterpieces, and discover places not every tourist knows. Every detail of this city holds a surprise. Every street keeps a memory. Every corner whispers ancient stories, and every stone can reveal a secret known to only a few. Before it was Paris, the city of light, this place already hid its secrets. Back in the 3rd century BC, the Gauls of the Parisii tribe lived along the banks of the Seine. Today, as you walk across its bridges or take a boat ride, it's easy to imagine that this very river once served as the road for those first inhabitants. With the arrival of the Romans, Lutetia gained arenas, temples, and baths. If you visit the Latin Quarter, you can still see ruins from that era, a reminder that Paris has always been a stage for civilizations. In the Middle Ages, Lutetia grew into markets, walls, and the imposing Notre Dame rose during this time, and it remains one of the city's most iconic landmarks. It was also in this period that the University of Paris was founded, making the city not only spiritual, but also intellectual. Today, the spirit of that age lives on in the cafes filled with students and artists on every corner. Centuries later, Paris erupted in revolution. The Bastille is long gone, but the Place de la Concorde, where kings and queens lost their heads, still welcomes visitors from all over the world. And from there, just a walk to the Arc de Triomphe is enough to feel the weight of Napoleon's ambition as he sought to turn the city into the center of an empire. In the 19th century, Paris took on its modern face with Haussmann's Prand boulevards and, of course, the Eiffel Tower. Hated at the time, but now the most visited monument in France.
Not many people know this, but the Eiffel Tower was actually supposed to be taken down 20 years after the 1889 World's Fair. What saved it? Its new life as a radio antenna. Something that quickly became way too important to get rid of. And here's another fun fact. Gustave Eiffel, the mastermind behind the tower, built himself a little hidden apartment right at the top. That's where he used to host VIP guests, far away from the crowds below.
All around it, the cafes and cabarets from the Belle Epoque still carry the buzz of those golden years. Then came the 20th century. Through the scars of war, the Paris we know today was born. From jazz to cinema, fashion to the arts, the city found ways to reinvent itself again and again. Walking through Paris, you can almost feel this invisible thread tying past and present together. Every street, every square, every monument doesn't just whisper old stories. It invites you to live them right now. And today, in the 21st century, Paris is more than just history. It's a destination.
It's a dream. It's the cultural and tourist capital of the world. When we think of Paris, the nickname comes to mind right away, the City of Light. But where does that name come from? Many believe it's only because of the lights that now shine on the streets, on the Eiffel Tower, or in the cabarets of the Belle Epoque. But the truth runs much deeper. In the 18th century, Paris became the heart of the Enlightenment. It was here that philosophers, writers, and scientists challenged kings, questioned the church, and opened the way for new ideas. Voltaire, Diderot, Rousseau, all of them spread a different kind of light, not from lamps, but from thought. It was the light of reason shining against the shadows of ignorance. At the same time, Paris was one of the first cities in Europe to invest in public lighting. The streets were filled with lanterns, torches, and later gas lamps, pushing back darkness and crime. For the first time, Parisian nights could be lived with safety, charm, and magic. And so, the nickname was born from the union of two forces, the light of the mind and the real light of the street, a symbol that forever marked the city. Even today, walking through Paris at night is to feel that double glow, the glow of the lamps reflecting on the Seine, and the glow of the ideas that changed the world.
Paris would not be Paris without the River Seine. It is the river that cuts the city in half, like a vein of water, giving life to everything around it. And connecting its two banks, there are more than 37 bridges, each with its own story, each leaving its mark on time. The oldest still standing is the Pont Neuf. Ironically, its name means new bridge. Built in the 16th century, it has witnessed kings, revolutions, and lovers whispering secrets in the dead of night. Then there's the Pont Alexander III, a true work of art, golden columns, angel sculptures, and details that make it one of the most beautiful bridges in the world. The Pont des Arts became famous as the Bridge of Love Locks, where couples from all over the world left their mark until the weight became so heavy that the structure could no longer bear it. The bridges of the Seine are more than stone or iron crossings. They are passages between eras, between stories and destinies.
Beneath the illuminated streets of Paris lies another world, an underground labyrinth that millions of people cross every day, unaware of the secrets hidden there, the Paris Metro. Inaugurated in 1900 during the World Fair, the subway was a symbol of modernity. Tunnels carved beneath the city, connecting neighborhoods, lives, and stories. But behind the engineering, legends and mysteries also emerged. They say that in certain abandoned stations closed for decades, the footsteps of passengers who never returned can still be heard. Some of them, like St. Martin Station, remain frozen in time, covered in dust and silence. There are also stories of secret societies that once used the tunnels for hidden meetings far from the eyes above the surface. And during the Second World War, parts of the metro served as a refuge for the French resistance, hiding weapons, messages, and fighters. The Paris Metro is not just transportation, it is a mirror of the city itself, alive, bustling, but also shadowy and full of mysteries. Each station has its own identity, its own atmosphere, almost as if it were a character in this vast underground drama. We cannot forget its cafés and bistros. They are not just places to eat and drink, they are true temples of stories, encounters, and secrets. It was inside Parisian cafés that Enlightenment philosophers wrote ideas that would change the world. Voltaire, Diderot, Rousseau, all of them spent hours debating politics, religion, and science, while the aroma of coffee filled the air. In the 19th century, the bistros became meeting points for artists and writers. Balzac, Victor Hugo, Hemingway, Picasso, all found inspiration among cramped tables, glasses of cheap wine, and endless conversations. There, romances were planned, revolutions were whispered, masterpieces were sketched on napkins. But cafes also hold a darker side. Many secret meetings took place in their quiet corners, conspiracies were plotted, and even forbidden lovers hid in plain sight. Today, to sit in a Parisian cafe is far more than a simple act.
It is to take part in a centuries-old tradition, to feel the weight of the stories once lived there. Every cup, every table, carries the echo of voices that changed the city, and in a way, the world. In Paris, a cafe is never just a cafe. It is a dive into the very heart of its soul.
No other city receives so many gazes, so many footsteps, so many stories at the same time as Paris. Every year, more than 30 million people walk its streets, cross its bridges, and lose themselves in its museums. But what makes Paris the most visited city on the planet? Of course, the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, and Notre Dame draw attention. But Paris is not just about monuments. It carries an invisible magnetism, a force that attracts every kind of traveler: dreamers, lovers, artists, the curious. And each visitor leaves a trace, a glance, a photo, a memory. Paris is made not only of its buildings and squares, but also of the emotions it awakens in those who pass through it. It is as if the city feeds on this energy, growing with every encounter, with every sigh before the Seine illuminated at night.
The Eiffel Tower is the symbol of Paris, the postcard of France, the dream of millions of travelers. But believe it or not, when it was built in 1889, many hated the idea. Designed by Gustave Eiffel and his team for the World's Fair, the Iron Tower, standing more than 300 meters tall, looked like a monster on the horizon. Artists and intellectuals said it was a giant chimney choking the city. Even so, in just 2 years, it imposed itself. It became the tallest structure on the planet, and from its top, Paris unfolded completely, like a living map at the visitor's feet. A privilege that, to this day, remains one of the highlights of any trip. Seeing the whole city revealed from above. Today, more than 7 million people climb its levels each year. Some go to propose under its nightlights, others to watch fireworks, or simply to feel the city vibrating beneath their feet. And for those who prefer to admire it from the outside, there is an unmissable spectacle. Every night, the Eiffel Tower sparkles for 5 minutes, once every hour. A show of lights that brings locals and tourists together, celebrating one of the most magical moments in Paris. In the heart of Paris, on the Grand Champs-Élysées, rises a giant of stone, the Arc de Triomphe. Commissioned by Napoleon Bonaparte in 1806 after his victory at the Battle of Austerlitz, the arch was meant to welcome his soldiers as heroes, just like in ancient Rome. It took decades to finish, and the emperor died before ever seeing it completed. But the monument stood the test of time, becoming one of the most powerful symbols of France. Standing 50 meters tall, its walls are engraved with the names of generals and battles, carved forever into stone. And beneath it lies the tomb of the unknown soldier, with a flame that has burned non-stop since 1923, in memory of those who died nameless in war. It's a place of silence and respect, where every visitor can feel the weight of history. But the Arc de Triomphe is not only a memorial. Today, millions of visitors climb up to its terrace for one of the most breathtaking views of Paris. From up there, the city unfolds in 12 avenues, stretching out like rays, a sight no postcard could ever truly capture. That's what makes the Arc so fascinating. It's triumph and mourning, glory and memory, past and present all in one. It's a place that makes you reflect on history, but also lets you take in the energy of Paris alive and buzzing right beneath your feet. And when the sun sets, casting the Arc's shadow across the Champs-Élysées, you're not just looking at stone. You're seeing the spirit of a nation, and an experience every visitor has to feel up close. In the heart of the Ile de la Cité, surrounded by the waters of the Seine, rises one of the most enigmatic monuments in the world, the Cathedral of Notre de Paris. Its construction began in the 12th century and took nearly 200 years to complete. Every stone, every stained glass window, every gargoyle was designed not only to impress the eyes, but also to touch the soul. A temple to bring man closer to God, but also to remind him of the weight of the sacred. Its Gothic towers became the city's sentinels, witnessing coronations, revolutions, and even fires. It was here that kings prayed before wars, and from here the bells rang out both victories and mourning. But Notre Dame also keeps its secrets. The gargoyles, sculpted as monsters, seem to watch over Paris, warding off evil spirits, or perhaps hiding even darker mysteries. Inside, light passes through the stained glass windows and turns the darkness into a spectacle. It is impossible not to feel that you are in a living place filled with stories. Visiting Notre Dame is not just seeing a cathedral, it is feeling a heart that has been beating for more than 850 years. It is walking beneath arches that have survived kings,
wars, and even the devastating fire of 2019, from which the cathedral rises again, as if refusing to disappear. Today, every person who visits becomes part of that rebirth. To see Notre Dame is to witness the resilience of Paris, its beauty, and its shadowed soul.
Few people realize that before becoming the most famous museum in the world, the Louvre was born as a medieval fortress. In the 12th century, King Philip Augustus raised this immense construction on the banks of the Seine, not to guard art, but to protect Paris from invaders. Thick walls, watchtowers, deep moats, it was a castle of war, not a temple of beauty. Over time, kings and queens transformed the fortress into a palace. Luxurious halls, gardens, endless corridors. Each generation left its mark until the monarchy fell and the Louvre opened its doors to the people. Today, visitors to the museum can descend to the underground level and find the ruins of the old medieval wall. Cold, silent stones that still seem to echo conspiracies and battles. And few know that this experience is part of the visit, a hidden detail beneath the feet of millions of visitors. But climbing back up, you enter another universe. The Louvre houses more than 35,000 works on display within a collection that exceeds 500,000 pieces. It is possible to walk through the entire history of humanity, from prehistoric art through the Egyptian, Greek, and Roman civilizations, Renaissance paintings, and all the way to modern artistic expressions. It is this mixture that makes the Louvre irresistible to any traveler. In one single place, you can walk among mummies, Greek gods, emperors, medieval saints, and contemporary artists, and that is a true delight. The Louvre is not just a museum, it is a world within Paris, a deep dive into the secrets of humanity itself. On the banks of the Seine, facing the Louvre, stands one of the most fascinating museums in Paris. But few know that before becoming a temple of art, this place was born as a train station. At the end of the 19th century, for the 1900 World's Fair, Paris built a monumental station of iron and glass, crowned by a clock that still dominates its facade today. It was a symbol of modernity, welcoming travelers from all over Europe. With time, trains evolved, and the station grew old. It fell silent, forgotten, like a shadow of the past. Until, in the 1980s, it was reborn with a new mission: to house the largest collection of Impressionist and Post-Impressionist art in the world. Monet, Renoir, Van Gogh, Degas, all of them gathered under the same roof that once sheltered locomotives. And this is what makes the Orsay unique for those who visit today. In a single place, you feel the industrial grandeur of the old station, and at the same time, the delicacy of the brushstrokes that transformed the history of art. Climbing to the top floor and looking at Paris through the museum's great clock is an experience that blends past and present, shadow and light, one of the city's most secret and unforgettable views. The Musée d'Orsay is more than a collection. It is a piece of Paris's soul, a soul that knows how to reinvent itself without ever losing its mystery. At the top of Montmartre Hill, as if watching over Paris from the sky, rises the Basilica of Sacré-Cœur. White, imposing,
visible from many points across the city. It is one of the most striking places in Paris. Built at the end of the 19th century, after a turbulent period in French history, the Sacré-Cœur quickly became a symbol of faith and hope. Today, stepping inside the basilica is a unique experience. Golden mosaics, colorful stained glass, and a silence that invites contemplation. But the magic continues as soon as you step outside. On the stairway, street musicians play songs, tourists mingle with Parisians, and from the top of the hill, you have one of the most breathtaking views of the city, Paris unfolding entirely before your eyes. And the experience doesn't end there. Just beside it begin the streets filled with bars, cafés, and restaurants once frequented by legendary artists. Renoir, Picasso, Van Gogh, and so many others lived in Montmartre, turning the neighborhood into the cradle of modern art. Walking there is like stepping into an open-air gallery where every corner holds a story, a painting, a song. Visiting Sacré-Cœur is much more than discovering a religious monument. It is living the contrast between spirituality, art, and bohemian life. A journey that begins with an unforgettable view and continues through the streets of Montmartre, where the history of art and Parisian life still meet every day. In the heart of Paris rises a palace of dreams and ghosts, the Opera Garnier. Built in the 19th century under the order of Napoleon III, it was designed to be much more than a theater. It was meant as a temple for music, dance, and the spectacle of the city itself. Inside, the impact is immediate. Giant chandeliers, gleaming marble, monumental staircases. Walking there is like stepping into another world, where every detail was created to dazzle. In its underground lies an artificial lake built to contain seepage, and it was there that the famous legend of the Phantom of the Opera was born. A mysterious being, passionate and vengeful, hiding in the shadows. Staff members swear they have heard strange noises, echoes that seem to come from deeper than the walls allow. Today, visitors can choose, attend a ballet or opera performance and feel the energy of this legendary stage, or simply explore the building on a guided tour, discovering its gilded corridors, ceiling paintings, and even the lake that inspired so many stories. And when the lights go out and silence takes over, it's impossible not to wonder, does the Phantom still walk among Garnier's columns? Few places in the world symbolize the power and luxury of monarchy as much as the Palace of Versailles. Built in the 17th century by Louis XIV, the Sun King, it was not just a royal residence, it was a theater of power. Every garden, every fountain, every corridor was designed to impress, to show the world the greatness of France. The halls glittered with mirrors and chandeliers, and the court lived in endless festivities. Music, dance, never-ending banquets. But outside the gilded gates, the French people faced hunger and misery. This brutal contrast helped ignite the flame of the French Revolution. It was at Versailles that Marie Antoinette heard, from her windows, the cries of the crowd demanding an end to royal privileges. Today, Versailles is more than a palace. To visit this masterpiece is to walk the same corridors where kings and queens planned their destinies and where they began to lose them. It is to step into the Hall of Mirrors and see yourself reflected among centuries of opulence. It is to wander into the gardens and feel how even nature was shaped by the hand of power. It is not just beauty, but also excess, art, and tragedy. To visit Versailles is to touch up close both the grandeur and the downfall of a monarchy, and to leave with the feeling that history itself still breathes within those walls.
Now, close your eyes and imagine a croissant coming out of the oven, flaky, golden, crumbling in your fingers. Or a baguette still warm, carried under the baker's arm as if it were part of his own body. Paris lives on daily rituals, and bread may be the most sacred of them all. And there is no Paris without cheese. Hundreds of varieties, each with a flavor that tells the story of a French region. From soft camembert to bold Roquefort, tasting cheese here is almost like traveling across the whole country without ever leaving the city. At night, the bistros come alive. Crowded tables, low lights, glasses of wine clinking. It is there that you discover French cuisine is not only about luxury. It can also be a simple dish like a boeuf bourguignon or a gratinated onion soup, warm in both body and soul. And of course, the sweetness. Paris is also the capital of pastry. Colorful macarons, glossy eclairs, the golden shine of a crème brûlée. Desserts that look like jewels, carrying centuries of refined tradition. But perhaps the greatest secret is not found in the famous restaurants or the pastry windows. It lies in realizing that every meal in Paris is a ritual of connection. Eating here is not haste, it is celebration. It is toasting with wine on a Montmartre terrace as the city lights up. It is sharing a cheese board with friends on the banks of the Seine. It is discovering that in Paris, even a simple coffee can become an unforgettable experience. And that is why Paris conquers not only through the eyes, but also through the palate. Because visiting Paris is to hear its stories, but also to taste its secrets.
Arriving in Paris is simpler than it seems. Planes land here from every corner of the world. High-speed trains cross borders in just a few hours. And suddenly, you realize that the city of light is always open. It doesn't matter if you come from the other side of the planet or from a nearby European town. All roads seem to end here. And once inside, everything connects. The metro takes you to any neighborhood. Regional trains cut across the city. Buses glide through the night. But in the end, Paris is meant to be discovered on foot. Because no line of transport reveals what only attentive eyes can catch. A curious shop window, a hidden street, a balcony overflowing with flowers. It is by walking that the city reveals itself. And if there is a way to feel Paris without looking at a single monument, it is through its table. Cuisine here is not just food. It is identity. It is memory. It is art you can taste. Think of the cafés, sitting at a little iron table on the sidewalk,
ordering an espresso and watching life go by. It seems like a simple gesture, but it is part of the Parisian soul. It was at tables like these that writers such as Hemingway and Sartre found inspiration. And even today, any visitor can lose themselves in endless conversations wrapped in the aroma of coffee and the distant hum of the streets.